where we will talk about how to get started as a new chapter or to optimize your machine or design settings, and also any use cases for integrating into makerspaces or courses or curriculum. So this
Very
is
good.
usually
Happy.
a combination of the new member meetup and the education meetup. That's how we've been running it for about a year now. So both like bootstrapping, getting your first, second, third device running on your machines, getting the best materials, best settings. Also, Jonathan and I like to talk about cool new machines that we see opportunity in, help folks get excited about the fabrication part. Also, the software part, like what softwares we're using, both like getting your slicer settings or getting your design files optimized. And then we often end up looking at uses in either community maker spaces or classroom maker spaces, or thinking about how we can like build class projects or like student organizations around these platforms. And I don't think we have like a fixed agenda today, but we could sort of start with around the room introductions and then hear from everyone about what they're interested in chatting about. My name's Ian. I'm at Brandeis University. I've been running the makerspaces here for over a decade, and I teach at the intersection of engineering and business. And I will have a class of about 20 students doing open source assistive tech in the spring. So always looking for use cases that they can build more useful things to help people. And my hook into e-NABLE has been using digital fabrication to do something positive. And it usually starts with people wanting to make hands and then realizing that what recipients need is a better doorknob. So I'm really interested in affecting the built environment and looking at open source hardware broadly. John, thank you for running our previous meeting. You want to do a quick introduction and then popcorn it to someone else?
Sure. John Schull, co-founder of e-NABLE more than 10 years ago, and happy to see that all of this is continuing to go pretty well. I will popcorn it to Jim T, who I don't recognize.
Okay, thank you. First, I want to thank Jonathan Hugiven for reaching out to me after I made my brief introduction. Um, I'm recently retired after 34 years in the utility industry, uh, electric utility industry, after being a business analyst. So, I got involved with business processes as well as business systems. So, that's my background here. I'm interested. I have zero experience with 3D printing.
Hmm.
I am interested in actually expanding in my retirement. I would like to learn something new, and I have no idea what I would print with a 3D printer. But however, I would like to make a contribution to your organization. So, that would give me something to do. I don't know if,
I hear
again,
you.
okay. I don't know what level of expertise is needed. I do not have a 3D printer. I will be getting one, especially since my son, who's 27, said, "Hey, if you get a 3D printer, I'd be really interested in using it too." So that is going to happen. Okay. Uh, but again, how far I will progress, yeah. Um, I hope to progress.
Where are you located, Jim?
Long Island, New York.
Long Island, New York. I'm based in Rochester, New York, but this
Okay.
week I'm in Island.
Smithtown. I don't know if you're familiar with
I
it. It's
don't
on
know Smithstown.
it's on the North Shore.
Ah,
It's just about halfway. Uh, maybe a third of the way.
cool.
A third to a halfway out,
Okay.
somewhere in
So
there.
your job is to nominate somebody else to introduce themselves.
It is it. Okay. Well, since I've already since Jonathan has reached out to me, I now would like to hear from Jonathan. And
Uh,
again, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
thank
you.
you for coming. My name is Jonathan. Manufacturing engineer for a while. I started off as a tool designer, so basically uh, CAD, CAM making stuff. I got into 3D printing about a decade ago. Made a couple of my own 3D printers and modified existing designs to kind of hobcob my own machines. So that's kind of my interests. I've been with e-NABLE for about 2 years. I started off as a volunteer hoping to make some hands, and I kind of moved into uh I guess a interesting role where I'm helping out patient and hub stuff and doing some of the back end stuff. So that's me. I'll popcorn it over to Tom.
Thanks, Jonathan, and thanks again for helping these badges. I was mentioning before, I've worked on Jim. I totally can relate to you. I'm a retiree also. Just looking where I can plug in. I've been doing 3D printing for about 3 or 4 years now. Uh, Jonathan, a piece of hardware I'm interested in right now is this new SnapMaker U1 that's coming out March, April timeframe. It's got four tool heads, so you can use different types of material without swapping. Save a lot of waste compared to the Bamboo Labs, which I'm using right now, the H2D and the X1C, and maybe pinging some questions towards you about some of the CAD software, trying to get into it more depth. I want to get going on a Kawaru arm and see if I can print that successfully. But yeah, I'm glad to share, glad to support you guys in any way. I'd be glad to print. I'd be glad to do admin type stuff. My time is freed up. And you had talked earlier about some support maybe to your website. So any suggestions? I try to do it in bite-sized chunks. So I don't over promise and underperform. I don't want to do that. But looking forward to seeing where I could plug in and help out. I'm not sure who's left the popcorn to.
Tom, I think we should work towards you going to Uganda in a year or so. I think that project, pardon the expression, has legs, if not arms, and yet it would be great to have a problem solver with a Western and logistics perspective to help us do it. Which suggests that you should be involved in the meeting with Anquan, who's really Mr. Uganda at this point for us. So we'll try to put that together.
That sounds good. I'd be glad to help out like that. And he had mentioned about he and I getting together talking sometime. I don't know how many hours he works in a day. And there's only 24 available. But
Okay.
yeah, sounds good.
Great. And just given that, and I'm sorry, I keep on assuming your role here, but you should become a volunteer in the e-NABLE Uganda project. Go through that, look for the posts, sign up to help, figure out what the design is. That's the learning project you should do, is to fit into their workflow. And that will give you some of the requisite skills, as well as understand the challenges that we still need to figure out.
That makes sense. Because I'm trying to figure out where to focus my energies. And that
Wouldn't it be cool too if we could get like a little bit of funding to send you with like a couple boxes of printers to stand up there? Like the machines are so good now. If they could do production at the point of need, like we could get the
Well,
funding
that's
to
a
get a
great
dozen
example.
machines over there.
That's right.
absolutely.
And then,
Yeah, I brought in a bunch of medical equipment into Burundi when I was there and cohorted with a local nursing school in Ohio. So I'd be up for looking into that possibility too.
Yeah, we could get small money to get a fleet of machines up and stable with supplies. That'd be really cool.
Sounds good.
nice idea. Okay. I think we're inching our way towards progress. That's great.
And we still haven't heard from John F. If you want to introduce and your interest.
Sure. I'm a semi-retired engineer and business manager. Do a lot of STEM and environmental volunteering now, and one of the things I do is I've been working with ethics at ASU, and I had a team this semester doing an artificial hand for somebody in Sri Lanka, and I just dial in to see if I can pick up any nuggets of useful information for my team. I'm not sure I'll be their mentor this coming semester, depending on schedules, but I will nevertheless try to continue helping them from the side if I'm not their mentor. So
Super cool. Yeah, great program. Thanks for working with them. I think we've chatted before when they were presenting.
Actually, they weren't here. I talked on their behalf.
Yep.
Yeah.
Super cool. And they do a year-long project, right? So they're like halfway through at this point.
Actually, it spans multiple semesters
Yep.
and multiple years. They're just getting ready to send a trial piece over as soon as they can get the stuff figured out. But they've had some struggles with communication, with getting information from the user. So I'm 99% sure what they're sending isn't going to fit right and work properly, just because they haven't gotten the correct information from the user. So, but they've made quite a bit of improvements this semester, and they have a reasonable sized list of improvements yet to make next semester. So they still have a ways to go.
Excellent. So we could jump in anywhere. I think a natural point we could start in the order we heard from folks. Jim, you're interested in getting started in fabrication. Do you know where you'd want to start? I sent a list of our favorite model repositories to sort of think about what to make.
Hi. Okay. I was on mute. Sorry. Um, yeah, I do not have a 3D printer. So, the first place to start is to figure out um what to get.
Well, the good
Um,
news is there's so much good stuff now. I think
okay.
even in the last like year and a half, 2 years, the
Hmm.
machines have gotten so much better. And really, any modern machine that's running Clipper firmware and running something related to Orca Slicer as the software, there's a whole big ecosystem now. And I think for most people, the obvious answer is a Bamboo machine. They're sort of trying to be the Apple of printing, very turnkey. If you like to make stuff and don't want to tinker with the machine, they're a great start. You can't really go wrong for the price point. But there's a bunch of other consumer machines that I think are equally as good that run on that same like Clipper firmware and Orca Slicer software, or like forks of those. And I see Jonathan has put the Elegoo Centauri Carbon. I have one of those at home that I really like. We also, the new Creality machines. If people have been printing for a while, like their product line has gotten so much better from what it was. I've got one sitting behind me here at work that we can do really big stuff with. And I think it's about like the scale of thing you want to make now. The machines are also good. It's like, do you want a fast little machine, or do you want a machine with more capacity that can make bigger things? And whether you want to like go down an upgrade path with something a little more DIY, or you just want a machine that's like an appliance that makes stuff.
Okay. Yeah. That last one sounds really good. An appliance that makes stuff. But again, I'm not quite sure. I see Jonathan has forwarded his recommendation. And
I think those three are our top three for
okay.
most of us.
Okay.
So a lot of us that run like, so at my university, we have over 50 different types of 3D printers.
Right.
It's too complex. And when a lot of us go home now, we just run Bamboos at home because we
Okay.
just want to make stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's where I'm at too, I suppose.
Yeah. So any of the Bamboo Lab product line is very good, and they start in Micro Center carries them, which are in a lot of big cities, very accessible.
Yep.
Our Micro Center has refurbs that I buy all the time for $175 for a little machine it's
Really?
like an unbelievably good little machine.
Now, yeah, you mentioned now one of the things Jonathan had kind of turned me on to is capacity. If it's something I'd like to contribute to the group, if I'll be making things I'll contribute to the group, what should I be looking for in terms of capacity?
So I would say anything above 250 millimeter build size, like a 220 to 250. So that's the medium size printer, not the micro printers.
Okay.
Any of those, most printers started off at that size, so most
Right.
designs fit within that, except for when you get into like the Kwawu arm, like the bigger designs might need
Right.
300 to 350 on one of the axes.
Right. So you said 200 to 300
So 220 to
mil?
250 is sort of
Oh.
norm, like a medium printer. So in the Bamboo product line, that means the A1 Mini might be too small, but the A1 and up is probably good.
Okay.
But if you get something more like an H2D that's 300 or 350 millimeters or bigger, then
Right.
you'll be able to fit any of the public designs.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, so really
Yeah,
with
and Micro Center. Yeah, go ahead, Jonathan.
with our open source designs, the biggest parts that we print are the forearm parts of
Right.
like an elbow amputation. So
Right.
that's where you can kind of think of size comparison of what the biggest parts would be.
Okay. Thank you.
Manufacturers, but often if you can find a big box store locally, you're going to save on shipping.
Yeah. Yeah, and Micro Center certainly. Yeah, I'd definitely be going there. And you think the refurbished printers are good enough?
I've had good luck. I know
Okay.
like it's a little hit or miss, but
Yeah. Yeah.
and I'm willing to tinker a little, but I haven't had one I've had to tinker with yet, and I've probably
Okay.
bought 6 to 12 of new boxes and refurbs. I'm always looking
Okay.
for deals. We work with a lot of nonprofits. We want to get the best impact for our budget. And
Given these developments that you're telling me about, I haven't touched my 3D printer for some years now.
oh, you got to
Um,
dig back in. It's crazy.
I have a Creality from back in the day, and
Yep.
it's been great. But you know, in my experience, they all eventually require sort of tinkering and cleaning out nozzles and so on. These
Right.
days, is it obvious what is the most robust and easy for a beginner?
It's probably the Bamboo. And Jonathan, I don't know what you think, but we see a lot of uptime and throughput on the Bamboos, and they're so fast.
Well, I think that's an important consideration when you're just getting started.
Okay.
It's easy to get stuck in a dead end and then move on to other more pressing things. So something that will allow you to get hooked without getting frustrated is a good first investment.
Yes. Yes. That sounds great. Thank you.
Yeah, so I would recommend, and if you're going for like the cheapest possible, you can get in for under 500 and get
Right.
something like a Bamboo A1 or a Centauri Carbon, something like that, or like one of the Crealities. We're very brand agnostic, but
Okay.
if you're willing to spend closer to 700 to 900, you can get one with an enclosure. And what the
I see.
enclosure allows is a more variety of material. And as you get printing more, you'll want those higher performance materials.
I
So
see.
the insulated chamber lets you do those materials. The other consideration that limits material is whether you have a direct drive or what's called like a Bowden tube. Either you're pulling material into the nozzle or you're pushing material through a tube. And if you're pushing material through a tube, that does limit what you can do. Some material bind up. You can't push rope, so like a squishy material or high performance material may prefer that direct drive that like pulls the material into the nozzle.
Thank you. Yeah, and yeah, I have no problems with doing things like clearing nozzles or anything like that. I mean,
Yeah.
I am somewhat handy, but I don't want that to be my main focus to,
Yeah.
maintain the machine. So, okay.
Any of these modern machines too have way more sensors, so they'll give you an error code closer to the problem.
I see.
And
Okay.
what Bamboo and now like Creality and Centauri, so they're trying to do more with these Elegoo printers, is have more of a cartridge system or like a part that it can isolate to that's quicker to swap.
I
So
see.
if you're comfortable with that, they'll tell you a lot more about their behavior.
Okay. Thank
It
you.
used to be the Wild West, but it's so good now. But yeah, I would recommend Tom said he had the X1C and the H2D. Those are great machines. The X1C is coming in right around 1,000. The H2D is like a little over 2 or just under 2, depending on how you spec it. But even like the difference between an X1C and a P1 P1S or P1P is not that much for the e-NABLE platform. You're going to get like a little more intelligence on the higher end ones, but if you just want to make stuff, I would look for something with an enclosure.
Okay.
Probably in the Bamboo line that you can get locally.
Okay.
And even at Bamboo Lab P2S, it's back ordered right now, but it's $549, and it's been getting some really good reviews.
Yeah.
And updating software and firmware.
Yeah, as far as 750 and up in terms of a price point, that'd be something I'd be looking to upgrade to, assuming that I, continue, which I expect to.
So
well, you never know. I think a small investment that allows you to become a sophisticated purchaser is a sensible strategy.
Okay.
And I think what Tom just said is probably what we're triangulating on. That P1S, the enclosed bamboo, the sort of middle range bamboo is an excellent machine. So with that, you're going to get a fast machine that like out of the box just is ready to go.
Okay.
And your build plate will be 250 by 250 by 250 millimeters, which gets you into like all but the largest forearms.
Right. Okay.
And you get all the material diversity, and you get the best software works. So it's
okay.
And right now on their website, they're 400.
Okay.
Not bad.
Sounds good.
Yeah, that'll take a lot of the headache has been taken away. They're now sort of like production turnkey devices, which is exciting.
Yes.
And the software is excellent. And more the preparation software. So you'll find a model like on one of these model repository sites that will be like a locked design file ready for output.
Right.
And then you'll bring that into the preparation software for the printer, which will be called Bamboo Studio, but like we think of it as the CAM software, the computer-aided machining that will take the shape and generate a tool path for the machine to run. And that software has become like a Swiss Army knife. Like it can do a lot. You can chop pieces up into smaller chunks that you assemble later.
Right.
You can optimize a lot of the processing.
Cool.
And if you want like a quick run through once you're ready, we can like hop on a call and do a share screen about like how to get the software running.
Okay. Thank you.
Jim, I don't know if you know what a resource you have in Ian. He's handled and fixed every goddamn model of machine. He's a world-class tinkerer and advisor. So he's great to have.
Well, yeah, advisor, I'm sure, at Brandeis. So, that says it all, I think.
Well, and Jonathan, I think, has a totally equal skill set on the manufacturing side with much more industrial machines. We're definitely a little more in the consumer space. Jonathan is in if you want to do performance metal space, talk to Jonathan. So we've got the machine recommendation.
Thank you.
And let's see, what else did we have on our conversation here? So Tom, how are you liking those? You've got sort of like the higher end machines. How have they been working for you? I know you were talking about getting into your next build. What was your next build?
The Quawu arm. And so I was going through the CAD program there, make sure I understood it. And after reading through some of his notes, I understand now that it's, you don't modify the STLs directly, that you use the CAD program and it does the modifications for you, which is great. So just kind of starting in that realm. I'd done some research on that other printer I brought up, the Snapmaker U1 that's coming out. The Bamboo's been fantastic, but I've seen some benefits of mixing the materials and trying to avoid extra waste. The HTD's been great with 2 nozzles, but this one will have 4 tool heads, so you could run, ABS with PETG with PLA for support.
Yeah, that's cool.
All different kind of stuff. So trying to explore all that. The Quawu, and then kind of shifting some efforts towards the whole Uganda project as a place to start. It helps me because there's so much out there where I could plug in. But the Uganda one it makes the most sense.
Definitely. That's super cool. The multi-tool head on the H2D is definitely like a advantage. We run some raised printers that do the same thing. You can get, 200% of the output in 100% of the time, which is really cool. And that multi-material melting together is really cool too.
Right. Yeah. The Prusa machines were just kind of out of my price point, $5,000 for multi-head.
Yeah, I don't actually, we are a Prusa shop. And so we have a fleet of mini Prusas with some of the MK4s, probably half a dozen MK4s, probably like pushing up to 80 to 100 Prusa minis. And we do that because we like to teach the software. I think as an educational tool, it's excellent. But as like a maintenance machine, they do require a little more upkeep time. They're a little more fin, and when they break, it's like it takes a lot more effort. It's less of a swap a part out, more of a make a new part.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, the Snapmaker looks really cool. It looks like it runs one tool head at a time and then swaps tool head to tool head.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah, very cool.
So
And those are on pre-order.
Yes, because I was looking at that the Bamboo Labs H2C, but that one is a little bit different as far as how it operates for the multi nozzles that plug in there. It's just started to be released, and it was on one of the trade shows here recently. And again, its price point's a little bit higher. So if we're thinking about Africa and resources and affordability, just looking at these more budget line machines that can still operate, and they got to work some kinks out still with their software, the Snapmaker people. But yeah, just doing some initial looks.
While we're talking about exciting machines, Jonathan, is there anything on your eye? I know you're always looking at the hot rods coming out.
Yeah, so one thing I've been excited for lately, and this again is kind of like tools to make your own printer, but this is a new tool changing solution by Bondtech, who has a great reputation for extruders. That takes very, very little space. So this is kind of like a component to make your own printer, but this is something that was really cool and really hyped up in the community. They sold out in like 5 hours is what they said. So they're not even going to retail sale stuff until Q2 of 26.
Super
But
cool.
that's
So
the
this
next.
is the tool head. This is a tool head that you would build a gantry around.
Yeah, correct. So this is, you can expand it. You can fit 9 of them in a 250 millimeter printer or something like that.
Wow.
And it's
Super cool.
magnetic, so it runs up, picks up your tool head, and then can print with whatever material or whatever color, whatever you're trying to do. And it does not use that same Bamboo Labs filament waste process.
Yeah, the purge.
Mm-hmm.
So then the idea is, so the history of multi-material for newcomers, it used to be we would have single nozzles on all our machines. And the way that they first started trying to do material swapping or multicolor printing is they would run the motor backwards and swap the material that way, which caused a lot of jams. That was like a not high throughput, high failure rate. So one of Bamboo's innovations is they never run the filament backwards to change. Instead, they drive the tool head into a blade and it cuts, and then they push through what they cut. So they're only running it forwards. But with one nozzle, that means that every time you cut, you're dispensing, 5 to 20 grams of material sometimes, depending on the color swap. So you end up with a lot of waste between every color change. And if you're doing that every layer multiple times, we've printed a 16 color benchy that we had 300 grams of waste for, like a benchy. It was like a whole half a spool to print a benchy. And it took like 20 hours. So that's like a crazy, not optimized workflow. So now the new thing, yeah, it looked really cool. Yeah. So what we're seeing with the Snapmaker and this index tool head is, instead of even swapping the material within the nozzle, just swap the whole tool head. So tool head swapping is sort of that like 3rd gen color change option.
And Index is a little bit interesting too, because they don't actually integrate the heater into the swappable part.
That's
So
cool.
the heater stays with your tool head, and then the swappable part heats up once it connects to it.
Very cool modularity.
Just as out of curiosity, you said you had 300 grams of waste. What was the actual project? What was the weight of the actual project? Do you recall?
Or how much does a benchy weigh? I would guess like under 50 grams.
Yeah. 30 something, I think.
Yeah.
Wait, 30 grams and
Yeah, so I
waste?
had a picture and it was sort of like, a print sort of smaller than this size with a
Right.
bag of waste like this big,
Wow.
like for ratio. And that was because it had multiple color changes. So
Sure.
it would deposit some color, snap, extrude,
Uh-huh.
load a new color, deposit some color, and then it kept doing that through the whole
Okay.
process.
So what you want to do is you want to make big blocks of colors if you're
Or per layer changes, not like multiple times per layer, like you swap and then you're done.
right.
Like this is a little clicky dial with
Right.
that we just threw our logo on, and like
Sure.
really only the top layers are changing there.
I
You're not
see.
changing mid layer. So once you've
I
changed,
see.
you just stay changed.
Yeah,
That's
right.
the idea.
Right. Thank you.
I put a link here to some discount. Oh yeah, look at that. Look at that. This is all of the extruded plastic.
Oh,
Wow.
geez.
Yeah, ours was even a little more because we had more swaps, but you get the idea.
Wow.
I put a link to some discount printers. I've bought one through this. More and more sites are doing like what Micro Center does with their refurbs.
Right.
And I just bought a very big printer from this exact discount link. Like a huge machine from them. It was the Neptune 4 Max that was on here for like $300. And even a couple of years ago, you'd spend thousands to get that build volume. So it is cool that they've got more good refurbs coming out. They're not just going to a landfill. They get fixed up. One can get some use out of them. And this is an absolutely massive machine. I think it's close to 1/2 meter on each side. So I think a slippery slope, I think starting with one of those bamboo enclosures is it's like a Swiss Army knife. You can sort of do a little bit of
Yep.
everything, but
Yep.
eventually you end up wanting some specialization, a machine that can go big, a machine that's like a lot of people I know now have machines per material. It's your PET-G machine. That's your like ASA or ABS machine, maybe a nylon specific machine. But it's good to start off with a machine that can do a little bit of everything as you figure out what you want to make.
I see.
And I think as you get into prostheses, like we said, you end up like wanting to design better doorknobs. That Makers Making Change site is amazing as a repository of the next step in the conversation.
Mm.
And even as if you make a prosthesis for a recipient, best thing is to get some dialogue going about how can you make it better? How can you add features when they break it? How can you fix it? Do you want
Sure.
one for this activity, one for that activity? And then you get into actually, I want a better joystick for my PlayStation, or I want a kitchen. And these other model repositories help with those conversations.
I think this is great prep for your expedition to Uganda, where you will be choosing and installing printers, Tom.
Thank you.
Well, and we could reasonably get the funding to get these $500 price point machines. We could find a way to ship a bunch of them there ahead of you and some helpers. And then how do you build the culture of designing and manufacturing on site, right? Like how you bring your expertise and spread it to get the throughput right at the point of need.
If we explore this fantasy, the next point, and I spent probably about 14 hours reviewing the photos and the videos of this first batch of people who got Uganda, is I I mean, it's a very promising project, but I have to say, I'd say half of the fittings were inadequate. These are devices that were too large or mispositioned on the arm and so on. As we all know, there's a partly logistic and partly psychological tendency to say, okay, I made a device, I'm done. But that's not the case. That's not the case with professional prosthetists, and it certainly shouldn't be the case with our non-professional non-prosthetists who are even less likely to get it right the first time. And so wouldn't it be great if there was someone with a lot of experience fitting and or a prosthetist who could be part of this junket? I don't know that person. And to be completely honest, the professional prosthetists still recognize that we are not up to their professional standards. But in a place like Uganda, what we have to offer is often significantly better than nothing. And I will have my eye out for someone. I do know a Belgian prosthetist in Tanzania who might be a good person to visit, for example, on this junket. Tom, I'm sorry that I'm designing your next career, but it's an interesting fantasy, and you're a placeholder, if not the actual person.
I mean, and it's interesting because I've been to all those places. So,
okay, well, that's
like
what
I
inspires me
said,
to indulge in these fantasies.
well, absolutely. And if I can help out, I mean, I'd be glad to. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to explore this.
Good.
So here's a radical idea that you got me thinking. When you started e-NABLE, the devices had a price point of about $50 to make, and the printers had a price point of $1,500 for a good printer. Now the hands still cost $30 to $50 to make, maybe a little more than 50 if you count human time, but call it $30 of material, to get there. But the printers now are under 200, approaching 150. Is there a point when we can give someone a hand and a machine to make their next hand?
Wow.
Like those, right? If you look at the economic, we have a couple people here who have a business systems engineering background. Like we're about to cross the threshold. You can get a crummy printer for $99 today, but you can get a good printer for 175. Like, is there ever a moment in this like international effort where the hand comes with a machine to make your next hand?
It's a new and interesting thought. The challenge is that the social infrastructure for that to work, a place like Uganda is going to be hard to come by, I think.
Well, and then, right, so you need institutions. So is there are there local libraries? Are there local schools? Because I know this has always come from the medical side. I just wonder what's possible.
Right.
It's very sparse in the lake region of Central Africa. I mean, Africa is so huge. It takes 2 days to get in and out of Burundi. It's the globe just does not, a physical globe does not represent the size of Africa very well. And it's that last mile where there is no electricity, no running water. But having hubs like in a city, NGOs based through the embassies, and not just the U.S. embassy, it's partnership like with the Belgians and French and all that stuff, which I've done before. There's your enabling device, is getting sponsorship through it. And if we provide the material, the printers, like you're saying, any possible crossing point there, and help them get set up, that they could become self-sufficient, create their own business. Anyway, some things to motivate them. A lot of it's Maslow's hierarchy of needs. It's the lowest level, just survivability. And that's where you have to be very careful and conscientious of people wanting to take advantage of that.
Totally.
So going slow and being very deliberate. It's stuff that I've got years of experience with, and I'm interested to see where this could possibly go. But do it step by step. Glad to talk more about this.
No, it's great that
That's great.
you've been there and can see the way the systems work.
That was huge. All right, all bodes well.
So other topics. So the other thing to point out, I know we have a couple people here who mentioned like a business background in addition, like convergence of business and engineering, which is sort of, this is like a logistics and engineering organization.
Hmm.
e-NABLE also needs a bunch of systems design help. Beyond, obviously, the thing that gets people here is wanting to make a device for a recipient, but there's a lot of systems design to get there that could be improved. One of the things my team's been working on is that NIH 3D model repository. I noted Sarah was mentioning at the beginning of this call about the hub and how like some of our hub systems could always be improved. I know Jonathan has been pushing all of the badging for a year or two now, but sort of like how do we act as the focus point and the clearinghouse for all of these open source designs and all of the people who want to get involved and make useful things? In the previous call, we had the classic problem with e-NABLE came up in one of those posts we were trying to help with, which is someone made a hand not fit to an individual and was looking for a site that they could ship it to. And there aren't as many sites available for that. So there's this problem of like a lot of makers, especially in schools, especially in the US, and then a lot of recipients, especially international, especially that don't have another healthcare option. And the disconnect of matchmaking, of finding the right device, and then of fitting the device to an individual's physiology and their occupational therapy use case. So there's this huge, like, complicated system. And I know John is always looking for people to take up the banner of contributing something beyond like the recipient matching, but actually like designing the system to get people involved. And John, I would wonder, like, what are your top pain points that you see today? Is it still matchmaking? Is it still finding the right device? Like, what are the top couple?
You know, I think it's really time to be working on quality and follow through more than anything else. Um, I'm conscious of the fact that with the Uganda project in particular, there's our niche has been, and it's one that we've filled well, has been, as I always say, making children smile, making parents weep, and making nerds rejoice. It's theater as much as it is technology or assistance, and it's important theater. The kids really do feel better about their condition. The parents feel that they've done something and that there are people who care, and the nerds are just, they really like it. And with kids, that's great because everybody, regardless of what they went in assuming, ends up saying, these devices are not used that often, but the kids really benefit from having the option of wearing them or not. And it changes the way they think about themselves and their self-image and the way they relate to other people. That message comes really through, and I've seen it discovered many, many times. That's great. That's not going to stop. But we haven't, but we haven't gone, but it's time to go beyond that. Because in other parts of the world, there's much more acute need for real solutions, and we could do it. The devices are good enough. I mean, I have a few cases of people who are now brandishing hoes and shovels and brooms in Uganda because they got these devices. And, for them, that's a major, these are adults. That is a major change of life that is possible given our devices. But I saw an equal number who were given devices that were just hanging on their arms, and they have this look of, well, nice try, sort of bemused disappointment because clearly they have something that makes them look better, but is not going to change their lives that way. We could do better. And so to me, and given what we've got going on with Uganda, we don't need to. Matchmaking is one way to give all of our volunteers an opportunity to use their 3D printers to do good. But developing a good pipeline to people in need is another way. And I think that's within reach now. So I think it is working out the logistics and the feedback mechanism, which will allow us to make sure that the devices, when people are seeking functional solutions, really are better than nothing.
It was interesting. The fabrication tools have gotten better, and we're still sort of solving the same problem that was solved a decade ago. So I think that's a really good point, is now we need to think about how we can leverage those learnings to solve a better problem better, solve a bigger problem better. And I really like that, moving from kids feeling good, which is a great thing to do in the world, but to making utility for adults.
Right. And, you know, we all, those of us who've been around, we have seen adults whose lives have been changed by these. It can be done, but it's usually not actually done successfully with adults who have heavier mechanical challenges and real life needs. So for that, things have to be really well attuned and focused on functionality, not just on giving a cool toy to a kid.
And so you sort of outlined 3 ways to get there. There's like a logistics thing, which is sort of a governance of e-NABLE. There's a feedback
well, that's right.
mechanism.
It's the governance of e-NABLE, and it's the pipeline by which volunteers are are given a mandate to use this design to produce this device. And then it goes to someplace that checks the device, and then it goes to someone in Uganda. And the person in Uganda then sends someone out to do the fitting. And I've spoken now to a couple of the fitters, and one of them was very conscientious, the other not so much. Right. And they take pictures, and then we get feedback and we iterate. Without the feedback, it's print only memory. It doesn't quite lead to advancement. So that's what I mean by logistics. There's the governance and leadership issue, but there's also tying the steps together in such a way that we can track and learn from what we're doing.
Can I ask you guys a question about this whole fitting and matching up with the user side of it? So this has been
I
a
missed
big
the
problem. Sorry, go ahead.
You're a little muffled, John. Try again or lean forward or both.
So, is this better?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm interested because of the problems my Epics team has had in this whole user interface side of it. One of the things we were trying to do is get a video of the user exercising their arm and hand and what they have as their hand, and then trying to take that video using AI tools and turn it into dimensions and strength and features that can feed into our 3D model. We've been unable to get a video despite 4 requests, and 4 times they've told us they're going to send us one.
I'm proud to say that I now have an archive that includes a number of those videos. And send me your email and let's give you access to it.
Well, I mean, this person has a very specific issue with how they're deformed, and they've got like
I see. So I'm sorry.
bone.
So you're saying it's a video of them that you want?
Yes. This person has part of a hand, a piece of his thumb. We're trying, and he wants to be able to go work, hauling buckets and doing other things. And we want to get a video of his activity to understand how much does that piece of his thumb move? How much strength does he have? How does his hand affect the rest of his arm movement if we're going to use his elbow to activate the grip? So
Right.
so
John,
and there's tools that can take a video and turn it into 3D model of what's there that can then get fed into our model so we can physically match up the hand to fit with him properly. So that's what we've been trying to do, and it's way ahead. I mean, there's some work to do there. Our problem has been
right.
trying to get that video. You know,
What's the geography like? Where is he? Where are you?
I'm in Arizona. Our team's in Arizona at ASU, and he's in Sri Lanka.
Whoa, that's
And
a problem.
yes, and the interface is through a group in London that does the interface for us, and then there's another group that does in Sri Lanka that is a whatchamacallit, a health services that this person meets with. So we have
Mm,
no direct contact with the user. We talk to this person in London who gets the health services person on the phone with us. We
mm.
ask for a video. They say they're going to. So that's a whole side of the problem. But from a processing standpoint, what you're trying to do, it seems to me that if we could set up the software systems where you can digitize a 3D video or a video, turn it into a 3D model that mates up with the 3D printing models, now you can
Yeah,
make everything fit right in many fewer iterations.
I will say, John, that I'm sure it's possible in principle. I'm not sure it's possible in fact, and I doubt that we are the place to making it work.
Yeah.
I know one of
I,
the challenges with that ASU group is just making a meeting between like
tough.
US time and UK time and Sri Lanka time. The logistics are so hard. One of our big expertises here is photogrammetry, which is essentially taking like 2D assets and turning them into 3D shapes from a video. And like the technology, you're right, it's right there. Like we're very close to having that work. But I think for the fittage, there's also like makes me think of the Hugh Herr lower limb bionics TED talk. There's also
Mm,
compliance. There's also like what's under the skin and how do we
Yeah.
make it like rigid where the tissue is soft and soft where the tissue is rigid. That's like it's such a complex 3D shape problem.
Yeah, I used to work in biomedical engineering and body implants, and so I understand this is not going to be uh,
okay.
be all end all, but it could eliminate. I'm looking at what our team's doing,
Yeah.
and they go through 3 iterations before they even get close to something that's
Before
going
they
to
get
fit.
close to fit. Yeah.
Right. And I'm thinking we could get at least fit the first time, not comfortable use,
Right.
not full functional use with how everything works, but at least fit the first time. And I do have a contact here in Arizona who has taken a video of kids' heads and turned them into 3D printed
Yeah.
busts of the kids. So the technology's there to go from a video to a 3D printing model. So
I actually think it's
that,
even better. I think we could do what we originally started doing with e-NABLE with just like orthogonal 4 photos, the different angles with a ruler on the ground. I think those 4 photos could be put into a 3D engine and you could get a useful shape.
yeah, so I'm thinking if you have any of that, I'd love to be able to turn that over to the students that are doing this at Epics and let them roll that into their process. Um, and then, we've got our own problem of trying to get the video out of these guys. But yeah, anything you've got there that would help that I can connect you and the team would be great.
So, John, there are two opportunities there, and I'm going to sign off as soon as I finish babbling. Um, one is connecting to this partner in Sri Lanka. But to explore the technology, it might make sense for you to work not with him, but with another set of photos in order to work on the work chain. And for that, this archive that we now have will probably have some cases that you could use.
Okay.
And you know how to find me, but not in conversation because I need to meet someone downstairs. May I say, this is a really good group of people who could take us to the next level, which is what's on my mind these days. So it's a pleasure to meet you all and to see you. Bye.
Yes. Thanks, John.
Thank you.
I'm just gonna drop my email address in the chat. If any of you have a question or want to be connected to someone, or if you don't get the monthly newsletters that tell you when these meetings are, along with other announcements, please email me and I will add you to our mailing list. Okay.
Thank you,
All right.
Sarah, for making
Thank you.
all of this happen.
Thank you everyone for coming. I am going to end the live stream now, and I hope you all have a great afternoon.
Thanks, Sarah. Thanks, everybody.
Nice
Thank
to
you.
chat with everyone.